George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Let's consult the critics on this one.
Roger Ebert said that the kids in the audience were stunned.
That must be because they'd never seen a movie before in their life.
There was almost complete silence, he wrote. The movie had stopped being delightfully scary about halfway through and had become unexpectedly terrifying.
The movie stopped being delightful way before halfway through and had become terrifyingly bad unexpectedly.
On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 96% fresh rating.
Look, I don't take any advice from Rotten Tomatoes.
And this is especially unbelievable to me. Pauline Kael said that this is one of the most gruesomely terrifying movies ever made. And when you leave the theater, you may wish you could forget the whole horrible experience.
I fell asleep to forget the experience.
So why is this movie a classic? It was released in 1968, the same year as Rosemary's Baby.
So much more terrifying than this movie.
And it was better directed.
Maybe we're used to fast-moving, crazy-looking zombie killers as opposed to these extras roaming around aimlessly like they're on the wrong movie set.
Yeah, those zombies in 28 Days Later move quick like cheetahs.
The zombies are slow, the scenes are slow and repetitive, the whole movie just drags on.
The two scenes that caused such an uproar when a movie was released are so tame by comparison. The first one is a montage of the zombies eating the roasted flesh of dead people, and the second scene has a young girl killing her mother with a gardening trowel.
That was a pretty cool scene, though, where she stabs her mother. It was the one scene that brought the movie to life. And it's always cool when a kid is doing something gruesome.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad scene, but after the horror films of the 70s and John Carpenter and David Cronenberg and Wes Craven, this movie's so PG and it's outdated. There's not a single frame of terror.
I couldn't sit through it again. I was so anxious for it to be over the first time.
The acting's amateurish, but it's not amateurish enough to be entertaining. It's just boring. And Ben and Barbara board themselves up in the house. They swap long, rambling, improvised monologues.
Barbara spends a couple minutes describing a scene that just happened.
I know, I was like, we just saw that scene, and it was only mediocre the first time.
Weren't there some political issues?
Yeah, some critics said that it was about the war in Vietnam. Others said Romero was making some kind of statement by casting a black actor as Ben.
Maybe that's why audiences in the 60s were scared.
Well, some said Ben's death was somehow reminiscent of Martin Luther King Jr.'s and Malcolm X's assassinations.
So even politically, the movie's completely outdated.
It's outdated in just about every way you can imagine.
Of the living dead. A bizarre adventure in fear.